Good evening. Firefighters have spent the day dealing with a major fire at a recycling plant, the fourth such incident in 4 months. 500 tonnes of paper caught light at a company in the Perry Barr district of Birmingham.
It's just 5 weeks since a £6 million blaze in Smethwick, and firefighters are tonight stepping up calls for the recycling industry to improve safety standards. Giles Latcham reports.
Another waste plant, another major blaze. This at one of Birmingham's largest indoor recycling centres. 75 firefighters were here at its height, battling to stop its spread. A family living opposite on the A34 Walsall Road awoke to sirens and billowing smoke.
Not very pleasant at all, and the smoke and the fumes was coming into the bedroom. We had the kids in the house. So we locked all the windows, closed all the windows, and there was just like black clouds really ahead of us.
We're at the back of the building where the fire broke out, and the whole area here is littered with debris from it. This appears to be some kind of fiberglass from the roof. There are people living here, and they don't like what they're finding on their doorstep.
Nobody's knocked our door this morning to tell us the fire was so close to the house, and why they put a factory here behind us, so close to residents, I don't understand.
Last month, a Chinese lantern ignited 10,000 tonnes of plastics on a huge open-air site in Smethwick. Damage was put at £6 million. In June, fire broke out at a recycling centre in Worcestershire and was still burning a fortnight later. And in April, a sea of flames illuminated the Birmingham night sky when the Smurfit Kappa paper mill went up. Firefighters say sites like these should be obliged by law to fit sprinkler systems. Not that simple, say the recyclers.
If you're a big multinational concern with a huge turnover, then you can afford a sprinkler system. You know, if you're a small independent family business, it's a very, very expensive piece of kit, and you know, actually investing in that can, particularly in a recession, can be very expensive.
Environment Agency staff believe the River Tame bordering the site has escaped pollution. The cause of this blaze is still being investigated. No one from the firm will be interviewed. Giles Latcham, BBC Midlands Today, Perry Barr.
Well, I'm joined now by Assistant Chief Officer Phil Hales from West Midlands Fire Service. Good evening.
Good
Your
evening.
firefighters were also called out to a smaller recycling fire in Wolverhampton today. It seems as though there have been a spate of these fires recently. Are they becoming more common at recycling plants?
They are becoming more common, and recycling is big business. And if you go back a few years, we didn't recycle as much as we do now. So we all throw lots of things in the recycling bins, and they end up somewhere, and they end up in plants where they process that recycled material. Now they have to store that recycled material and process it, and what that creates for us is a high fire loading in a business, and the regulations and guidance that are for that business are out of date in our view, and we want to work with the recycling industry, with the government, with the Chief Fire Officers Association to bring that guidance up to date.
Right, what sort of pressure is this putting on the fire service? As there are more recycling plants, I suppose it's inevitable the number of fires would go up, but what sort of pressure is that having on you?
Well, the pressure's on us. I mean, these fires, the last few fires we've had, in particular the one in Smethwick, the fire last night, these have been very intense fires, they're very hot burning fires, it's very hot burning materials, a lot of high thermal properties to it, and that puts a massive amount of pressure on our firefighters. They have to work really hard to manage that risk and put these fires out. You know, and our firefighters again did a fantastic job last night in doing that, and that's something we can only praise them for. But looking forward, what we've got to do is try and avoid having these fires. Now, our resources are shrinking, we've got less people in our organisation now, we're facing another round of budget cuts, we're going to have even less resources in the future, so we've got to be really proactive in managing this risk.
So you say you'd like to see some changes to these regulations. What precisely?
Well, the regulations, we'd like to work with the industry and with the government, with the Chief Fire Officers Association, and amongst us we'd like to have a look at the existing regulations which are in the West Midlands. They're set out in the County Council Act from 1980, so we're talking about a set of regulations that are over 30 years old. Now, they're not appropriate for today's modern recycling industry. What we don't want to do is impose stringent restrictions on the industry that would force them not to be able to operate in their business. We recognise the commercial sensitivities of what we're asking, which is why we need to sit down with the industry, sit down with the government, the policymakers, the Chief Fire Officers Association, and use this opportunity to review and have a look what the guidance is and agree a way forward between us.
OK, Phil Hales, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Coming up.